In this module, we will learn about the moment of inertia tensor. So, we will first discuss what is the moment of inertia tensor and then give a worked example of formaldehyde, which is a very simple molecule. For the purpose of interpretation of microwave spectra, all molecules are classified into different types. In this module, you will learn about this and understand the various classes of molecules and how to assign a molecule to a class. The rotational spectra of polyatomic molecules is difficult to interpret. For this reason, molecules are classified into different types according to the shape of the moment of inertia, ellipsoids. So, we will first introduce what is the moment of inertia tensor and what do we mean by the moment of inertia ellipsoid and how it helps us understand the spectra of polyatomic molecules. First, to understand the moment of inertia tensor, consider the rotation of a diatomic molecule. Now, this is a diatomic molecule in figure where you have two atoms of masses m1 and m2 and they are rotating about an axis passing through the center of mass. R1 and R2 are the two distances for m1 and m2 from the center of mass. R is the internuclear distance and we have the rotation axis. The moment of inertia about the shown rotation axis, which is normal to the bond axis, is given by I is equal to m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square. This is the general classical formula, and as you know, we always first apply the classical formula, then see what quantum mechanics has to say, and then we understand the spectra. So, here r1 and r2 are the perpendicular, the normal distances of masses m1 and m2 from the rotation axis respectively. Now, let us consider rotation about another axis, which is not necessarily perpendicular to the bond axis. So, this is another axis, it is not perpendicular to the bond axis. In this case, the moment of inertia is again given about this new axis. It depends on the perpendicular distance of the masses from the axis, and that means that it depends upon some other r1 prime and r2 prime. I prime is equal to m1 r1 prime square plus m2 r2 prime square. So, here r1 prime and r2 prime are different from r1 and r2 because the perpendicular distance is different. I prime will also be different from I. Likewise, the moment of inertia about every axis passing through the center of mass, which we will call as Cm, may be calculated, and on every axis opposite points plotted at a distance of 1 by square root of I from the center of mass. So, what we are doing is that we are taking different axes passing through the center of mass, and what we are doing is we are calculating the moment of inertia. The moment of inertia is different for all these axes because the perpendicular distance of the two atoms is different from the actual distance when it is perpendicular to the internuclear axis. Now, when you join these points, we obtain a three-dimensional figure, and this is what we call the moment of inertia or momental ellipsoid. It turns out to be an ellipsoid, and this ellipsoid, because it has been obtained from the moment of inertia, it is called the momental or the moment of inertia ellipsoid. So, an ellipsoid is a three-dimensional figure, and it has three principal axes which are named A, B and C, all small letters, lowercase letters, and they are placed in decreasing order. That is, A is the major axis, it is the largest one, so it is the major axis. B is the intermediate axis, that is in between, and C is the minor axis. Since we have plotted 1 by square root of I about every axis, this means wherever the moment of inertia is large, the axis will be small. So, that means I can write down IA is much smaller than or equal to IB, and IB is smaller than or equal to IC, where the three moments of inertia are the components along the three axes and are known as the principal moments of inertia. So, you can see this, an ellipse can be passing through the axis that you have chosen, the x and y axis, or the ellipse can have its coordinates which are not coincident with the coordinates that you have taken. An ellipse is a two-dimensional figure, and for simplicity we are showing it. The ellipse shown in the figure, and it has its major axis A coinciding with the Cartesian axis and the minor axis B coinciding with x. This may not always be true. We would always like the moment of inertia axis to coincide with our Cartesian coordinates, but this may not always be true. And for example, in the figure shown in the right, the ellipse is inclined at some angle to the Cartesian axis. It is not coinciding with it, but it is at an angle to the Cartesian axis. In order to align the principal axis of moment of inertia ellipsoid with the Cartesian axis, we have to diagonalize the moment of inertia tensor. Now, what is a tensor? A tensor represents a three-dimensional figure and it has 9 components, unlike a vector which has 3 components, and dipole moment also is a vector quantity, it has 3 components, but the moment of inertia is a tensor, so it has 9 components. The moment of inertia tensor is generally represented as 3 by 3 determinant, where Ixx, Iyy, Izz, they are the diagonal elements, and of diagonal elements you have minus Ixy, minus Ixz and so on. The molecule in question is put in a Cartesian frame, we just choose any Cartesian frame. So, you have different components for Ixy, for Ixs it is different, and similarly you can find out for Iyy and Iyz. It is apparent that the moment of inertia tensor is symmetrical. That means that Ixy is equal to Iyx, it is a symmetrical tensor. Diagonalization rotates the coordinate system so that the Cartesian axis coincide with the principal axis of the ellipsoid, and the moment of inertia tensor reduces to a diagonal form with 3 components. These are labeled as Ia, Ib and Ic, as we have already discussed, in order of increasing magnitude. That means Ia is smaller than or equal to Ib and Ib is smaller than or equal to Ic. So, what I am trying to say is that you write down the moment of inertia tensor, you put the molecule in some frame, calculate its x, y and z Cartesian coordinates, and then calculate Ixx, Iyy, Izz, Ixy, Iyx is equal to Ixy and so on. Put it in the tensor, diagonalize it. When you diagonalize, you get a diagonal matrix, and in this diagonal matrix, the 3 component of the principal moments of inertia, they come in, and then you place them, you call them Ia, the smallest one is Ia, the next one is called Ib, and the largest one is called Ic. So, you have many computer routines which can do it very easily. You can write a program if you know programming, or Fortran or any other language has its own routines which will do the diagonalization. So, it is not very difficult, but in case you do not have a computer program ready with you, even then we can do it, because in the case of small symmetrical molecules you can always make a guess where the principal axis just by inspection of the molecule symmetry elements. So, that is why we are taking the example of formaldehyde, and we will discuss it, because this is a simple molecule, it has C2V symmetry, it has one moment of inertia will obviously be along the C2 axis, and then there are 2 planes which are passing through the C2 axis. So, they are the vertical planes, and you can see this is the formaldehyde molecule, and let us guess which one is A, which one is B and which one is C. So, since it has a principal axis, it must lie along the C2 axis, because this is an element of symmetry. So, one of the axes must be lying along the C2 axis, and the other 2 will be perpendicular to this axis. So, each plane will contain 2 axes. We also find that the molecule has 2 planes of symmetry, and each plane has a principal axis normal to it. Let us first consider the C2 axis. The carbon and oxygen atoms lie along the axis, and so only the light hydrogens contribute to the moment of inertia on this axis. You see that carbon and oxygen, the C2 axis contains the carbon and oxygen. So, the only atoms which have a perpendicular distance from this axis are the 2 hydrogens, and because the moment of inertia is m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square, and m1 and m2 are very small because they are the light hydrogen atoms, the moment of inertia along this axis is very small. So, we can guess that this axis has the smallest moment of inertia, and it must be the principal axis of the ellipsoid. All atoms contribute to the other moment of inertia axis, and which of these axes is the minor axis can be decided only by computation. It is usual to put the molecule in a Cartesian frame and such that the z axis coincides with the most important, that is the C2 axis. The next important axis is the y axis, and yz defines the plane of the molecule, and the third axis is perpendicular to the other two, and this we label as x. This is always done in group theory. What we do is that for example, in this molecule there is only one axis of rotation, the C2 axis, so we will label it as z. Now we look for where we should label y and x, both of them should be perpendicular to z. Y we will label as the axis which is in the plane of the molecule, so that the plane of the molecule becomes yz, and the remaining axis is x, perpendicular to the plane of the molecule. So we have already identified z as C2, and hence this does not interact with the other two axes, and terms such as izx and izy are 0, because this is one of the axes. So obviously it does not interact with x and y, and we are only left with a 2 by 2 matrix to solve, since IC is already determined. Diagonalization of the 2 by 2 matrix yields the other two eigenvalues, out of which the one lower in magnitude is labeled IA and the remaining one is IB. Thus symmetry helps in simplifying the determination of the principal moments of inertia of a molecule. So in summary, we have shown that polyatomic molecules are classified into different categories according to their moment of inertia, ellipsoid. How we determine the moment of inertia by inspection alone has been shown for formaldehyde, and we may summarize that in order to interpret rotational spectra, molecules are classified according to the shapes of the moments of inertia ellipsoids. The moment of inertia is a tensor quantity and has 9 components. The tensor is symmetrical and diagonalization yields the principal moments of inertia. By convention, the smallest principal moment of inertia is labeled IA, the next higher IB, and the largest one is IC. In certain molecules with symmetry, the principal axis can be uniquely determined by considering the symmetry properties of the molecule. Usually the axes coincide with the rotation axis or are perpendicular to planes of symmetry of the molecule. So this is how you can do a complete interpretation of the microwave spectra of polyatomic molecules.